Zoom, and you'll have a much more engaging experience. Good morning, dear Dharma friends. How lovely to see you. I'm Robert Beatty. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. Hello to those of you joining us on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to have a more engaged experience, please join us on Zoom. You can find the link to that on my website, robertbeatty.com, or the portlandinsight.org website. This is the Groundhog Day practice group. We get another day. This morning I want to start with a poem from this lovely little book, The Last Free Women, which I was given just before the COVID crisis hit. Is it showing? Yeah, there it is. And have found great delight in. It's the stories of the women who became awakened at the time of the Buddha. This one is called Delighting in Beauty. Haven't you spent enough time comparing your hair and your clothes and your face to the hair and faces and clothes of those around you? See the body for what it is. Real beauty is in the clear, open light of the non-judgmental heart. That's pithy, isn't it? Haven't you spent enough time comparing your hair and your clothes and your face to the hair and the faces and the clothes of those around you? See the body for what it is. Real beauty is in the clear, open light of the non-judgmental heart. One more. It's called Genta, the Conqueror. I was forever getting lost until the Buddha one day told me, to walk this path you will need 7 friends. Mindfulness, curiosity, courage, joy, calm, stillness, and perspective or equanimity. For many years, these friends and I have traveled together, sometimes wandering in circles, sometimes taking the long way around. There were days when I thought I couldn't go on. There were days when I thought I was finally beaten. It's scary to give all of yourself to just one thing. What if you don't make it? Oh, my heart, you don't have to go it alone. Train yourself to train just a little more gently. I was forever getting lost until one day the Buddha told me, to walk this path you will need 7 friends. These are the enlightenment factors. Mindfulness, curiosity, courage, joy, calm, stillness, and perspective. For many years, these friends and I have traveled together, sometimes wandering in circles, sometimes taking the long way around. There were days when I thought I couldn't go on. There were days when I thought I was finally beaten. It's scary to give all of yourself to just one thing. What if you don't make it? Oh, my heart, you don't have to go it alone. Train yourself to train just a little more gently. That's a powerful closing, isn't it? Train yourself to train just a little more gently. The First Free Women, Poems of the Early Buddhist Nuns by Matty Weingast. In what can we take refuge? Everything's always changing so much. A few eye blinks ago, I was sitting in a tent in my backyard where the grass is flourishing now. The grass on that spot is better than anywhere in the yard. It was quite dead when I moved the tent, took down the tent to move into my upper middle way, beautiful little house. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I take refuge in being awake and mindful. I take refuge in what's discovered, the truths of impermanence, dukkha, and anatta. Ruth Denison translated dukkha as dalink. There will always be a leak in the canoe. And anatta, we really are the universe, posing for a little while as a human being. And Sangha, the community of practice, the community of teacher-student relationships down for 2,600 years, and the fact that we are part of the great community of life. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. How is it that we might train more gently? Mindfulness is non-coercive, non-violent, natural. It is our home. Please let's remember to remember some gratitude. I've had some remarkable luxuries in the last 24 hours. I slept in a warm bed. I actually took the chill off, as I say, by putting on the electric blanket for 10 minutes before getting in. I got up to a centrally heated house. The fridge is full enough that we have food go bad. Imagine that. Extra food. I have an old dog that doesn't eat well, so he gets special ground up beef and pork to add to his dog food, so he will eat. That's luxury. Imagine that. I haven't heard a gunshot in this neighborhood for probably a year, maybe 2. Then it was just 2. And so on. I have a bionic body with sewing anchors in my knee where they fixed my torn off quadriceps, and a stent in my heart. And I take fancy medications to keep my blood pressure in control. Gratitude. And so with this foundation in gratitude, let's come home to the body. Let's come home to that which sits here. Complex beyond imagining. I read that the number of synapses, the number of connections between cells in the brain are greater than all the stars in all the galaxies. Complex. And let us become aware of the life in the body. There's pressure where the body presses against the seat somehow. The remarkably reliable gravity, the Earth's expression of love for us. Awakening to the life in what you think of as your hands and your face. There's a way we could be somehow grabbing at the face, the sensations. I'm going to make this happen now. There's another way, which is simply by intention. And there's no coercion, there's no violence at all. There's just a willingness to be alive in this way. And of course, as has been our custom since the time of the Buddha, we can center ourselves in the sensations of breathing. Beginning and ending, arising and falling away. There are the objects of awareness. And the awareness itself. And they arise together. Among these objects are thoughts, memories, plans, emotions. The 5 hindrances. Wanting, craving, resisting or rejecting, aversion, restlessness, agitation and worry, sloth and torpor, dullness, doubt, uncertainty, confusion. Moment by moment, through the power of intention, through the remembering of mindfulness, it's as though we mysteriously dissect ourselves free from identification. And for stability and developing the mental factors of mindfulness and curiosity and so on, we inhabit the sensations of in-breathing and out-breathing. We have simple and crisp guidance from Ajahn Chah. Any moment you wish to bring your practice and your life, really, into perfect balance, remember, this moment is like this. It could be a moment of great ease and heightened concentration, or one of restlessness and fighting against the moment, dissatisfied, thinking you're not getting anywhere. The mind could be filled with grief or elation, connection feeling. There could be great faith in the path. Or you could be possessed by a dark night or day or week of the soul. However it is, this moment is like this. And so in profound gentleness, it is a great relief to rest in the present moment. All the violence of the should mind just falls away. I should be more concentrated. I should be more enlightened. I should not have these unpleasant emotions. Everything is worthy of noticing. Time and again, we refresh our clarity of intention. I intend to be awake. I intend to accept the circumstances of this moment. Sometimes the circumstances are so spacious and open, rested. And other times there's intrusion from inside and outside. This moment is like this. In a few moments, the gong will sound. Let's let the first gong remind us to be awake and here now. The second gong is the initiation of whatever comes next. The opening of eyes, movement. Let us reaffirm our commitment to mindfulness in every activity, in all activities, in all inactivity. And reaffirm our intention. I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in each moment. And when I'm hurting, no matter how I'm hurting, when I'm suffering, I aspire to hold myself in sweet compassion. When I encounter others who are not behaving well, who are acting out of greed, hatred, and ignorance, I aspire to hold them too in sweet, loving compassion. To set appropriate boundaries for safety. And time and again to set my own heart free. Find your own words, your own intuition for these beautiful awakening aspirations. very carefully clanking the microphone against the bell. Please join me if you would, if you will, if you want. I have my screen on gallery, I guess it's called. Here's the gallery. Here you are. Here we are. We can see one another. Wishing each other well. There's an artificial construct that we invest in, like so many things. We call it the New Year. Of course, different cultures have different times of starting the New Year. There's the Buddhist New Year, and the Jewish New Year, and the Thai New Year. They must all be wrong, of course, because ours is the right way. And meanwhile, our galaxy is hurtling through space at some ridiculous speed, like a third of the speed of light or something like that. And our little planet, our little sun, is 2/3 of the way from galactic center in our galaxy, 100,000 light years. And we're zooming along there, and then the planet's zooming around the sun. It's always completely new. So anyway, we do create these rituals to give us meaning. And I want to invite you to join us tonight on our annual New Year's Eve ritual. It'll be myself and Kendall and Gary Sanders and Jim Dalton, starting at 9. Bring a piece of paper or two and a pencil or a pen, something to write with. Yeah. And then on the second Saturday, Paige Cogger and I will be offering a day-long retreat from 9 to 5. And the links for these are actually finally on the homepage. As is there now a link for my 8-session class over about 11 or 12 weeks on the 4 foundations of mindfulness starting in late January. And I guess last but not least, I asked Jim to put some links on the website or on the chat, and there's one there also for a possibility of an end-of-year contribution to your Dharma Center to help it keep going. All those links are there on your chat. And I'm in debate about meeting tomorrow morning. Who would come tomorrow morning if there were a gathering? All right, we'll do it. Be a late night tonight, but I'm always awake no matter what. Something changed with age. I really can't sleep in. So, I'd like to say it's because of advancing enlightenment, but I think it's really just advancing years. So, what's up with you, dear journeyers of awakening? Oh, let me test. Do I have sound? Test speaker. Yep, I have sound.
Hi, Robert. This is Kirsten.
Hello, Kirsten.
I thank you so much for the poetry and the music this morning
Mm.
and for the meditation. And I'm pretty new to meditation and to the Sangha. And I'm so grateful to have this, especially during this year. And I've tried to make a commitment to be here every morning and to meditating. And so I just wanted to share a few things that I noticed in my meditation this week. One is I had some back problems. And so I went to the doctor and I'm doing physical therapy. And so in my meditation, I do a reclining meditation in the afternoon for an hour. My mom calls it a nap. but um, sometimes I sleep, sometimes I don't.
Uh-huh.
But what I noticed yesterday was when I went into that area where I'm experiencing pain, I could not find it. I could not find it. It dissipated and went away. So then it made me think, well, do I need to be doing the physical therapy? Do I need to be going to the doctor? Can I take this into the rest of my day? But I realized since then that sometimes there are diseases in the body that we do need doctors for, and we do need to have that treatment. So that was one of the things that I noticed. Another thing that I noticed was a couple days ago, also in the reclining meditation, just being aware of everything that was going on. It was a complete cacophony of physical and mental and sounds, and it was almost completely overwhelming, but I remembered that I could take refuge in the breath, and I got very quiet and very calm when I started concentrating on the breath. So I thought that was very interesting. The breath for me seems to be a safe place,
Mm.
so I'll have to remember that when I'm yelling at my husband. And the other thing was, let's see. Oh, just trying to be conscious of taking my meditation into the day. I have a food plan that I follow, and so I'm in the kitchen 4 times a day. And so I use that time of chopping vegetables and cooking for my family as a meditation, and that's a wonderful thing. So
Mm.
I just wanted to share those, and Happy New Year's Eve to everyone, and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Sounds like you're really cooking in your meditation, so to speak. You're really finding lots of ways to make it make sense and be useful. Thanks.
Um, this is Monty. I was wondering maybe if you could talk a little bit about using thinking as an object of meditation.
Mm.
I've been meditating for a little more than 3 years daily, done retreats, and I find that my mind is, um, I don't know, I guess I can't find refuge in the breath. Um, really, just really bouncy thoughts. And so I've kind of had the idea of trying to use the thoughts as a meditation, and that I just could use some, I guess, some guidance on that,
Mm.
because that's really difficult, and I'm not really able to sustain it for very long. And so, although I've been meditating for a long time, I don't really ever feel like get to that sweetness, that sweet spot. And so, when you mention that during the guided meditations, that's really difficult for me,
Hmm.
especially since that usually comes first. So I
Since
feel like,
since
well, that's
what
kind of
comes first?
best, and I know that it's not, and I'm able to try and sit with that feeling. Um, I don't know. So just some help with or
Mm.
some thoughts on using thoughts as the object of
Mm.
meditation.
There are teachers in Burma and Thailand who don't allow their students, the monks and nuns, to do any practice other than learning to recite a volume of the Buddha's teachings. And they learn a book, a whole book of chanting, basically. The teachings were passed on for the first several hundred years after the Buddha died through chanting. And so that could give us a hint of something you might do, which would be to do a loving kindness practice with and develop maybe 4 or 5 phrases. The phrases that I developed over many years were, may I be happy, may I be free from fear and danger, may I live with ease and grace, may I be liberated. And about 10 years ago, another phrase came to me, which was, Bobby, I'll never abandon you again. And I don't know how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of times I've said those phrases. And sometimes I link them with the breath. On the in-breath, may I be happy. On the out-breath, may all beings be, may I be free from fear and danger. May I live with ease and grace. And so those become a mantra that I then repeat, and there's a way that using the thinking function in that way will kind of jam the thinking. It'll get the thinking focused on something very wholesome. To simply sit and observe thinking, to let thinking, the discursive thinking, happen in the light of awareness is a very slippery practice. It really only works once the mind is very capable of concentrating and is very tranquil. Because what happens is, you get thinking and then you wind up getting lost in the thinking.
Yeah. And I do metta every morning. Metta every day when I practice, kind of pretty similar, but not for the whole time. So usually I choose like 4 people. Yeah. So you're saying like maybe do that for the entire 25 or 40
and with yourself as the object. Just keep it simple. Don't go to the neutral person and that whole expensive thing. Just keep yourself as the object. Mm-hmm. And I wonder also, is there disappointment, dissatisfaction, disliking of the fact that concentration is not strong and the mind wanders?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm kind of also aware of that, especially on retreat, where I really wanted to I thought, I'm going to have a big breakthrough, on a retreat. And I remember the first one feeling and then I got to a point where I just thought, maybe that's just not going to happen, and that's not the point. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But, that frustration still is, there. I'm aware of it, but it's,
So
definitely.
One thing you could do is take the disliking, dissatisfaction as your meditation object and really study that. Right? The 3 roots of suffering are greed, hatred, and ignorance. And the greed factor is, I want this, I want my meditation to be like this. And the hatred factor is, I don't want it to be like this shouldn't be like this. And then we're also ignorant of the self as a process rather than a noun. And so by observing those forces, you're also strengthening your practice remarkably. Mm-hmm. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because it's very close to the bone, the 3 roots of suffering. That any help?
Yes, well, I think so. It's definitely a path to try, and that's kind of what I need.
Another idea, have you used beads?
That's funny. I was looking for my mala, which I haven't used for 10 or 15 years, and I couldn't find them where I thought they were, so I probably need to get some more or find something else that I can use. So, that was the revelation, that might really work.
The mala is a time-honored device, across traditions, which really assists in concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be, may I be happy, may all beings be happy, maybe that simple mantra, bead. Being aware of the breath, breathing in, breathing out. And with that comes, may I be happy, may all beings be happy, bead.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're using a whole variety of different regions of the brain and synchronizing them to the same beat, in a way.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I definitely have some things to try, and I think it would be exciting to see what that's like. So yeah, thanks.
I've used mala a lot. I had one of my students took me to Nepal and Tibet a long time ago, now 15 years ago or so, and I made the intention when I landed in Kathmandu, I had a mala in my hands, and I started doing Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om. And I did that a lot. When out shopping, I was trying to do it, and also just touristing in Kathmandu. And then we were trekking for some time up into Tibet to try to go around Mount Kailash. And so I had my mala in my hand a lot. And I did the same thing in Turkey. I found a distinctive old man's mala. And after I started going to the mosque early with the call to prayer, and I discovered the right mala to have. And so I was doing my touristing using this mala, and it was very interesting to encounter the older men sitting in cafes and in their streets, and they would look at me and look at the mala and smile. We'd have this great connection. And I was busy keeping the stability. It wasn't with the breath. It was Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And very interesting things emerge when one tries to do that.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm going to give that a try.
Great. Let me know.
Mm-hmm.
There's great misunderstanding because of some radical crazies. The meaning of Allahu Akbar is there's nothing that's not God. There's nothing that's not the One. It's a statement of anatta. There's only the One. I like to remember that. Don't always, of course. Life is really hard, isn't it? Anytime I discover myself attached to anything being a particular way, there's dukkha. And it's only through the relinquishment of that there's ease. And then there's ease.
Good morning, it's Francine.
Hello, Francine.
Happy New Year, all. I love that word ease, and as I reflect on the more or less 10 months that I've been with this group, uh, I can see a sort of a really massive change in my level of ease or at ease. It has become commonplace for me to recognize everything it is what it is at this moment. And boy, is it easier. I mean, my
Yeah.
daughter taught me something really funny and fun. At any moment of sort of recognition or a moment of awake, she yells out the word "Yippee!" and it just makes a delight of what is the smallest thing. So I'm going to offer that as a mantra, the yippee mantra.
Who is doing that?
My daughter taught me that.
Oh.
Yeah. So very fun. It makes you smile. And if you need to yell yippee, and I have stuff that I deal with and crazy tenant that is calls me every few hours to the furnace hasn't worked, my car is leaking. And it was just like, well, there's that. Okay, there's that thing. It's the perspective is fabulous. So thank you for sharing me, Jim. You're smiling end to end. Love you all. Thank you for being with me through all this.
Thank you, Francine.
I've had an interesting week. My my granddaughter signed me up with a website called Storyworth, WORTH, Storyworth, and each week they send a writing prompt, and then for me to respond to, and then I transfer that to their website, and it automatically goes to my kids and my older grandkids. And so I've had 1 week, and the first thing that came in was, what were you like as a teenager? That was the first prompt. And so I spent a lot of time thinking back on teenage years, and one of the more harmful habits that I had in those years was turning on the radio as soon as I got up in the morning, and this disc jockey in Chicago would say several times, station identification, it's another dumb day in Chicago, and then he'd give the call letters and all the rest of it. And I'd go off to school with that mantra in my mind. It's another dumb day in Chicago. And that went on for 4 years in high school. And later on retreats, I would get quiet and I'd hear that voice from that disc jockey and realize how far I had come from those years. So as you're talking about Yippee, he was the other end of the spectrum, and I allowed him to set myself up for another depressing day in Chicago for most of my high school years. I feel so much better now. That's why I'm smiling.
Thanks, Jim. Anything else anyone would like to share this morning before we head off into our other activities?
Hey, Robert, this is Vic.
Hi, Vic.
Good morning. One of my Christmas gifts was a book that you had recommended. It's
Oh, yeah.
and I've just started wading through it a little bit. It's a pretty dense book, and takes a little bit of thinking through. But I was wondering if you had any thoughts about how this connects with, and so the concept of the subconscious, the psyche, the autonomous complexes, how that relates to kind of the Buddhist philosophy, if you will.
Well, my operational hypothesis for my own journey and my teaching is a Buddhist Jungian hybrid. Jung was not completely alone, but he was in pretty rarefied company in Western psychology in that he actually questioned the nature of the self. So, you got a week? I guess I'd say this, that, well, maybe I'll share my two favorite quotes from that book. The first is the opening line: "The I that I know does not know enough to know that it does not know enough," which is an anatta statement if I ever heard one. And then the next few pages go on to say something like this: "The conscious ego is a fragile island floating on a vast sea of unconsciousness we call the psyche. There exist within the psyche autonomous," important word, "autonomous complexes that can and do usurp the ego." And so the way I make sense of that in the Buddhist context is the journey is one of developing a stronger ego. Buddhism is, we're not encouraged to get rid of the ego. There's a bad translation that has people trying to get rid of their ego, and that'd be great if you want to live in an institution for the rest of your life. But the ego plays an essential function, filtering what comes up from beneath and making choices. So we sit in meditation and some stuff comes through. We never know, and particularly if you go on retreat and it's clear, it's not the outer world that's affecting it, but this mood will come through and you'll be completely possessed of some old sadness or fear or loneliness, or something will come through where you're suddenly very spacious and conscious and compassionate, parts of yourself that you've never encountered before. And the Jungian model kind of makes sense of that for me. And that book is a particularly good description of the process. So, similarly, my understanding of meditation beyond stress management, beyond mere and wonderful, important psychological and emotional well-being, results in a deconstruction a de-identification of the various structures that we have that we're unconscious of, and that takes us then in the direction of realization of that which we really are, what we are in our biggest frame, which includes all of the personal unconscious material and the wounds from childhood and the great gifts that await us as we clarify our own meditative process. So that's a kind of high order, high level description. I hope that helps.
What's the book?
Why good people do bad things.
Why good people do bad things?
Uh-huh. So Vic, did you get something out of that?
I do, thank you. And it's going to be a journey.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you'll find out why you've done some bad things.
There we go.
Because you're not in charge. That's my discovery. Well, folks, last call. Last call for the year 2020 for the morning meditations. 10 months into our journey.
Robert, Dave Mayer.
Hi,
I just
Dave.
wanted to once again thank you for all that you have done and are doing. It is such a gift for all of us, and I just can't say it enough.
Thanks, David. All right. Let's sing our beautiful, harmonious song together. Unmute yourself if you wish. Oh, something. What I like to do with this is I change the view to speaker, and then the person whose voice catches Zoom, their picture. Now there's David, you see?
Yeah.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bye. Yippee.
Bye, everybody.
That's right, yippee.
Happy New Year.
Goodbye, all.
Bye, James.
Hope to see you tonight.
Bye, Gordon. Mayor. Thanks, everybody.
And
Bye-bye.
Bye, Francie.
have fun today, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Michelina. Bye, B.
Goodbye, Hadley. Well, friends on Facebook and YouTube, seems like the technology worked well today. Have a fine, mindful day and ending of this year. And please join us tonight on